Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC360 podcast. My name is Will Dixon. I'm your host for this evening's chat about all things Newcastle. And we are joined today, very special guest, as always, Jack. Thank you so much for joining today. How are you?
I'm good, Will. Nice to be on. I've been on for a while, but we've got quite a bit to talk about today, so I'm looking forward to it. How are you? You good?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been busy. I wasn't here last week, and they roped in Peter Greaves at the last minute. So hope everybody
get the reserves in.
Yeah, the backups when I wasn't available. But so thank you, Pete, for stepping in if you're watching. I know you are. But anyway, we've got lots to talk about. Big breaking news from Newcastle in the last few days. So we are going to be talking about the seemingly imminent arrival of a goalkeeper. The fixture list as well, we're going to talk about as well. And we're also going to talk about whether Newcastle need to sign a certain striker who plays for a club in Liverpool that's not called Liverpool. Right, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, we are going to start with Nick Pope, who is expected to have his medical with Newcastle tomorrow for a fee of between £8 and £10 million, apparently Newcastle agreed with Burnley. I mean, Jack, this one kind of slightly out the blue. It kind of really escalated over a very short period of time. I mean, what are your initial thoughts, first of all, about seeing the news that Nick Pope could be coming to Tyneside?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that it was quite clear that Newcastle wanted a goalkeeper because obviously Dean Henderson it seemed like he was on his way, but then as soon as Ashworth was appointed, he seemed like he stopped that deal dead in the water. Fair enough. If it turns out he does only look going to Nottingham Forest on loan, so wouldn't actually be getting a guaranteed goalkeeper in the end. So I think that's absolutely fair enough. And Nick Pope is just a signing that makes sense. These are the sort of deals that we as Newcastle fans have looked at for years and years. Went, why can't our club do that? Why can't our club, like Brighton? You see a Brighton sign a player like that, or Everton or Aston Villa, something like that. Just a deal that makes sense. He's a Premier League goalkeeper. There's a World Cup coming up in November. He's going to want to be in the Premier League. He was never going to stay in the Championship with Burnley. I don't think he can ever be accused of letting Burnley down. I think he's probably been their best player for maybe the last 3 years, probably, especially at the end of last season. It looked like he was going to single-handedly keep them up, to be honest. He was making wonderful saves left, right and centre. I think he's a great goalkeeper, to be honest, and it's great competition for Dubravka. I'm looking forward to see. We can obviously talk about him in a little bit as well, but I think for £8 to £10 million as well, you're not going to get much better value than a goalkeeper at a full England international, knows the Premier League inside out, great shot stopper, experienced, good communicator. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you hit the nail on the head there, and I mean, especially the fee is the one that took me back by surprise. I think I saw in a report, I actually can't remember which one it was, so sorry, I can't reference it. But Burnley were looking, if they were going to sell Nick Pope, the fee would probably be around £40 million, particularly if they stay in the Premier League. So for between £8 and £10 million, as you say, Premier League goalkeeper, England international, 8 caps for England, consistently being one of Burnley's best players over the last few years. I mean, for all the talk of Newcastle having money, we're going to be spending this amount on this player. We could be buying, Neymar or whoever, but the likes of this just strikes as really smart, really good business that you can't really knock if this comes off.
This has got Ashworth's fingerprint all over it, doesn't it? There's a reason we were so desperate to get him. There was a reason that in the end we came to agree, with Brighton to pay the compensation fee, because this is what he's done for years and years and years. This is why he's known as one of the best around. He gets players, sensible signings for the proper teams, and for low fees. He's renowned for getting players at bargain fees. Last year, Brighton were negotiating for Darwin Núñez for £20 million, and they nearly got him. And yet it fell through. I don't know. I can't remember why it fell through, but he was on the ball already. So it's so exciting. I think Nick Pope, he's 30, and maybe someone would say, why didn't you get a younger goalkeeper? But I don't think we need that. I think Dubravka and Pope competing with each other is exactly what we need. Eddie Howe is clearly wants a new goalkeeper. He's got him now. By the looks of it, it's going to happen. And I think the fee is so good. I mean, I think Burnley are in a bit of financial trouble, with their leverage takeover. So, but they haven't got many sellable assets really. And the fact that we've managed to get him for £8 to £10 million is just unbelievable. And it just makes me excited about Ashworth, to be honest.
Yeah, everybody who's watching along, if you want to get your comments in, I've seen a few of them have popped up as well. We will be going into those a little bit more into detail. But yeah, if you've got any thoughts on Nick Pope, please make sure you put them down below. I mean, this was the thing about the goalkeeper is that when I look at that Newcastle squad, for me, the priority list goalkeeper is very near the bottom in terms of the problem areas. I kind of feel it's similar to kind of Matt Targett in January, where left back wasn't the outstanding big issue, and then they get someone in that you think, okay, they're fairly solid, but then that actually could be one of the best signings we made in that window, arguably. And then obviously Matt Targett has signed on, and we've seen how essential that is. Do you feel this falls into the same category really with Nick Pope and Dubravka?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when we actually signed Dubravka initially? In the January 2018, and we had Darlow and Elliott competing, and they were doing okay. But Benitez was adamant he wanted a goalkeeper, and everyone was thinking, oh, do we really need one? There was definitely other priority positions, like I don't know, a striker, because we had Hosselu up front. But
yeah, it's fine. We did all right.
Yeah, Gale and Hosselu, but whatever. but no, do not remember that. It was kind of like, oh, do we need him? But then obviously he got his debut against Man United, and for me, he's probably been my favourite goalkeeper since Shea Given. What he's done for us. Obviously I love Kroll, but he's, in my opinion, Dubravka's been better because he's been, I know, in such a difficult time, and he's saved us in so many games. But he's getting towards the latter stages of his career now. His contract is long, so he's probably going to be here till the end. I won't be surprised if afterwards he maybe goes into a coaching role as well, because clearly loves Newcastle. He knows what he's doing. But maybe it is time for someone to either give him a kick and some proper competition, or actually Pope is coming in as first choice and Dubravka is going to have a more reserved role this season. So I totally agree with what you're saying, that I don't think many people thought it was a priority position, but it does remind me of just when we initially signed Dubravka, to be honest. It seems like, and it could turn into, as you say, one of our best signings of the summer easily.
Just seeing your comment there, El Nino Luke. Dean Henderson and Areola weren't inspiring links to begin with, so I don't understand the disappointment in Pope. I don't actually think I've seen any disappointment in Pope, to be honest. I feel like the general consensus is this has been really, really smart. I mean, comparing Pope and Dubravka, as I'm sure we will be doing over the next couple of months as we head into the new season. Nick Pope, in the last 3 seasons, 36 appearances. In the season just gone, 9 clean sheets. Then season before, 32 appearances, 11 clean sheets, and then 15 and 38 the season before. That was the outstanding one. Dubravka, 8 clean sheets in 26. Obviously, we knew defence was a big problem. And then I forget about this. He only played 13 times in the season before. And he does have those injury problems as well. So do you think that's even more kind of reason to think that this is a necessary bit of business for Newcastle to do is to get a goalkeeper?
Yeah, a point on El Nino Luke's point first of all, because it is interesting. But I've actually seen a few people who were quite disappointed with it, actually, which I was surprised about as well. But I think there's maybe a thought that he's not very good at passing out from the back. And all I'd say about that is that last season he was actually one of the best sweeper goalkeepers. He spent more time out of his box. Only Edison spent more time out of his box than Nick Pope and swept up behind the back line. Considering how Burnley play as well, they're so deep. For that to be the case, and that's so, I trust Howe and Ashworth totally. So I think they've obviously looked at that. I think with the feet thing, I understand why people fear that, but at Burnley, their style is very much like, right, launch it up to Wood, well, initially Wood, then it was Barnes and Weghorst. I don't think we obviously we will go along at some points because you can't just pass out from the back all the time. But I don't think Pope's necessarily been tested with his feet, to be honest, really. Yeah. The style of play that Burnley play is not down to him, right, oh, I need to get it out to the full-backs. He's not looking to do that. He's looking to launch it into the other half of the pitch and that Burnley build from there. So I think that's going to be something that we'll see. But I don't think Newcastle would have gone for him if he wasn't better, maybe, than Dubravka with his feet, because that's the point of the sign of that's the point of the sign. It's improvement or competition at least. So that's that one. And then in terms of Dubravka, I think he's been as I said, one of my favourite goalkeepers in a long time. Great goalkeeper, but he does have his injury problems. I forgot about that 2019-20 season where he just missed pretty much all of it, and Darlow was the goalkeeper for pretty much all season. So, and he's had other injuries as well. I think 2018-19 he was injured for a little bit of that as well. So, yeah, and Pope doesn't miss many games at all, as you pointed out with his stats and appearances. So, yeah, I think it's just a deal that makes so much sense, and it's just amazing to see us signing these types of players. Because yeah, we got all this money apparently and what have you, but these are the signings that they've got clever people in charge.
Yeah, I mean there is still a lot of kind of comments coming in, sort of worried about his feet. Do you feel like he will, as you say, he didn't really suit that kind of style at Burnley. At Newcastle, he is probably going to get more of an opportunity to play with his feet. You got to think England as well. That setup is also very dependent on goalkeepers being good with their feet. They tried to get Dean Henderson in that setup for a while before he kind of fell off with Man United. So, do you have any fears really that Pope would struggle to fit into this system?
I've got to be honest. I don't have any fears. I think Nick Pope sees this, to be honest, as a chance to play for an ambitious club, going in the right direction, in front of an incredible fan base, unbelievable atmosphere. He should be behind a competent defence. And also, he's got to be thinking that if he starts the season well, and he starts as our number one, he starts the season well, and we start well, he's got a good chance of being England's number one goalkeeper. Because if Everton start poorly, which I fear for Everton next season, if I'm being honest, that financially they're in a lot of trouble. I don't know who they're going to sign, and they just survived last season. I mean, just so I fear for Everton next season. And I think Pope, if he starts the season well and, shows that he can play out with his feet, which I'm confident he can, then he's got a good chance of being England's number one. And this is why it's such a good deal for all parties.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about Everton a little bit later on as well. But yes, we're watching along. Let us know what you think about the Nick Pope signing number 2, looking as though it could be medical and announced by tomorrow. And then maybe a few more coming in as well. But we're not going to talk about the fellas maybe coming in from France. We've done enough of that. We're actually going to talk about the fixture list for Newcastle. Have a look at who were playing first, the difficult runs in that period. And, to be honest, looking at the first 5 games, I think that's actually going to be the toughest run, to be honest, out of the whole season. For those that can't remember off the top of their heads, we'll have Nottingham Forest to play first at home, promoted side, before we go away to face Brighton. Then it's a home game against Manchester City. No problems there. Wolves away before facing Liverpool away as well. So 3 away games in the first 5. And then the 2 home games being a promoted side, which seems to be something we do every year, where we play a promoted side very early on, and then only the Premier League champions as well. So, what are your first thoughts in terms of a start to the season? Because I feel it's always important to get off the mark well.
Well, as long as we get off to a better start than last season, eh? So yeah.
Wait a while.
Wait a long time. Forest at home, I mean, look, they've been out of the Premier League for a long, long time. It's going to be a big game for them. I'm surprised it wasn't moved for TV coverage, to be honest. But, that is the way it is. But St. James's Park at the end of last season was so good. 7 wins out of 8. The atmosphere was just ridiculous. Start the new season, if we finish off, if we do theoretically sign Botman, Ekatike, whatever, see whoever else, then I already think that that's a difficult game for Forest. That yes, they're going to have a lot of optimism and win. We won't know a lot about them because it's a case of coming up. We don't know how they're going to play. They might change their style from last season, etc. Steve Cooper did a brilliant job. He was probably, like, if you've taken Eddie Howe out of the equation for manager of the season, then Cooper's there for what he did at Forest. They were bottom of the league, got through in the playoffs, just missed out on automatic, then got through in the playoffs. Unbelievable manager, clearly knows what he's doing. They're making some clever signings as well, by the looks of it. So it's going to be a tough game, no question. But I do think I reckon we can get off to the season with a win. I think St. James's Park this season is going to be a bit of a fortress, I reckon.
Well, it may just be the pessimist in me, but I look at the two away games as well as before Liverpool, Brighton away, Wolves away. Maybe it's just me thinking like I did last year, where I look at those and think they look like tough away games. Not sure we're going to get anything out of that, or maybe I'll just scrape a draw. Do you think we can, based off the performances we saw at the end of last season, if we take that forward, do you think we can get, be looking at getting wins and being on the front foot in games like that? Of course, like Brighton and Wolves, they've kind of had their sort of peaks and their troughs. Do you think we can sort of take that on as we look to try and maybe finish? It sounds bananas to say like mid-table or maybe even a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. I think they're the teams we're going to have to be beating if we want to be finishing in the top 10. Away from home as well, not just at St James's Park. Brighton under Graham Potter are a wonderful side to watch. The way he's got the players overperforming in that system, but they have lost Basuma now, who was such a key player for them, and they have lost. Fair enough. Yeah. And they have lost Ashworth as well, who's the man who got them all those players that then fitted into Potter's system. So I think I don't think Brighton are going to be as good this season, in my view. We have a terrible record against them though, like in the Premier League. Like, not sure we got a draw there last season, didn't we? But apart from that, we usually get battered at the Amex. So
yeah, I think the win we had at St James's last season, that's the only time we've beaten Brighton since they've come up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So there's obviously that, but I don't know. I think we can go to Brighton with no fear, really. Wolves had a strong start this season, but they ended really poorly, and they do not have many goals in them at all. 7th place shout there from Football Style.
Take that, 100%.
Yeah, definitely take that. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, Wolves, as I said, I worry for them in a sense that they don't have a goal scorer. Raul Jimenez, since he's come back, has not been the same player, which is obviously quite understandable considering the horrific injury he suffered.
Yeah.
Seems like their fans are maybe slightly turned on their owners. They're not spending much money. I don't think they're going to sign many players this summer. So I think going to Molineux again, that's nothing to fear really. The only one I'm really worried are Manchester City and Liverpool, because they're so far. I mean, Haaland, how many goals are you going to get next season if he stays fit? It's actually they didn't even need him, and then he's got him anyway. So like, I do worry about that one.
Yeah,
I do worry about Liverpool, but I think the other for the opening 5, I think Newcastle could end on 9 points. To be fair.
Yeah, it's certainly two. Well, at least you kind of get those two out the way early as well.
Yeah.
Get into that. And as I said, like I looked through the all 38, there wasn't kind of a run in there where I thought you're just kind of going back to back. It's 1 week it's Arsenal, then it's Tottenham, then it's United, then it's City, then it's Liverpool. Not really too many of those like that. I did look at the last 5 as well. Maybe once again, kind of the pessimism as I did probably last year, is thinking, God, what's our running looking like? If we need some points towards the end of the year, how are we looking? I mean, Southampton at home, Arsenal at home, Leeds away, Leicester at home, and then Chelsea away. Also not easy. It's kind of that. It's I don't really want to use that old cliche that there are no easy games in the Premier League. But I mean, Arsenal, the signs that they could be making this summer, they could be a real serious force next year. Leeds away, bit of an unknown quantity. Leicester pretty consistently strong, and then Chelsea away is, well, it's Chelsea, isn't it? So I mean, hopefully we won't have to look at that last 5 as in we desperately need to get points from there, should we?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to look to the end of the season, isn't it? We have no idea how Arsenal season is going to go, Leeds season is going to go, Newcastle season is going to go.
Well, European football.
Exactly. But in terms of like a 5, as they all are now, obviously Arsenal, we finally beat them. At the end of the season.
Favorite game by a long way.
Oh, totally. It was the one that was missing, wasn't it? It was at House said he said that we were missing a big scalp against a big team, and we totally dominated that whole match. It was so great to watch. But yeah, I mean, so obviously Arsenal, we don't know what they're going to be like. Leeds could be down the bottom again next season, could be mid-table, and by that point, who knows? Obviously Chelsea away for the last game of the season. If we're going for something and they're going for something, it's not exactly what you want, but we've won at Stamford Bridge in the past. And we were unlucky last season not to leave with anything in that game. Like obviously late, and Havertz should have been sent off in the first half, and we should have had a penalty. So it's one of those. I think with the fixtures this season, last year when they came out, I just was like, just get it over and done with. Like it's like, or like just genuinely, who. Last season there was no optimism going in, was there? We hadn't signed anyone. We signed Willock right at the end of the window, but all that left us with was the exact same squad that we had the season before.
No progress.
Bruce didn't have a clue what he was doing. We all know that, but it's totally different this year. I think, who knows what's going to happen necessarily, but we can all as Newcastle fans finally be optimistic about what's going to happen and really look forward to hopefully what's going to be a really fun and exciting season on Tyneside.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I say that Arsenal game was my favourite one. The thing I liked most about it was sort of seeing that team. It was at home and the crowd's behind, and you can say whatever you want, but seeing us kind of go toe to toe with Arsenal and kind of going, because it really did feel. To be honest, when I look at that last stretch of the season, probably from January all the way to the end. We only lost a few games really, and a couple were really incidental, as you said, like that Chelsea game and the Everton one as well. It didn't feel like there was any team, probably apart from City and Liverpool, that we could go toe-to-toe with at least and very much compete with. And as I said, like when I looked at those games initially, like Brighton away and Wolves away at the very start of the season, the pessimistic thing that we've had in years gone by is like, well, they're going to be so tough. We're going to have to defend for our lives, make sure we can... maybe we'll get a goal, maybe, and we can maybe nab a draw out of that one. This optimism, it's so, it's just so fresh and it's so new. So, do you think that we can pretty much go toe to toe with any team in the Premier League next year?
I believe so. Okay, so we got hammered off Spurs and we got hammered off Man City, but I actually really like the way we approach those games. Like against Tottenham, first half. If we don't, first half was really equal, and obviously it went in 1-1, and then in the second half we made too many defensive mistakes. Maybe people got left out position and what have you. Manquillo didn't play again, did he? So, Kraft came in after that. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there was that. And then against Man City, I even like the approach we played against Man City. We didn't just sit in and wait to be beaten. We were pressing high up the field. Yes, they got out the press, and yes, they created chances. And in the end, they scored 5 goals. But a lot of them were defensive mistakes. There wasn't that many times they absolutely carved us apart. So. Yeah, it's just going to be different this year. I think how we'll never go into a game thinking, right, we're just going to sit in the box, and because even when we're playing defensively, we're high up the field, and that makes so much difference. I mean, one of the things I enjoyed last year was actually just how players pressing the ball. It's incredible, isn't it? But like we're like, oh wow, they actually can run and they can close people dying high up the field rather than just camping and wait. So. That's so yeah. I don't fear anyone necessarily. We'll have to see, but yeah, I don't fear anyone.
Yeah. Well, whilst you're here, Matthew, let's get this question answered. I mean, Jack, what would be your one dream transfer? We're going to be talking about some transfers in a second. Who's like the one player that you really want to see in a black and white shirt come this summer?
Well, we'll go for realistic ones because obviously I can go for like I can
consider be linked to ideally. That'd be great.
Moussa Diaby.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've got to think of something else now.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I've nicked it, but he's a superstar. His goal record's ridiculous. He plays on the right, but he can play equally on the left. But imagine him and St. Maximin on the wings. I mean, you're not doubling up on St. Maximin anymore, are you? Because you got someone else to worry about on the other side. He would just be. I thought, Matthew agrees. Bruno was a statement signed in January, wasn't he? And so was Trippier. They were like, oh, wow, these guys mean business. And if you've got Diaby, who's been linked with PSG and is in the Champions League next season with Bayer Leverkusen, then that's another statement signing, which also kind of makes me think, I don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but by spending less money on the likes of Pope and Target rather than going all out for Lodi, we do have, in theory, more money to go and get someone like that. So he would he would just be a dream.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, like, when I say this, I mean dream signing.
Right.
I mean, when I've seen this guy linked, I think never. But if there was one player like that we've been linked to that I would think, that would be incredible. It would be Raheem Sterling. because
yes,
someone who is apparently available, for around the 50 million mark. Chelsea are interested. I think Tottenham and Arsenal are also interested as well. If you could convince him to come, and if we could be able to pay those wages and sort of give him that role of, you are the man, for this team. You can play wherever he wants. He can drive whatever car he wants. We'll give him a house, the fanciest house we can find in Ponteland or wherever he wants to go. I think that would be such an incredible, talismanic signing. That would really be such an incredible statement for what Newcastle are going to do going forward. Don't think it's going to happen, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that would 100% be my dream signing as well.
So we both thought wingers then. That's what we were.
Yeah,
we both thought wingers.
We're looking at someone to partner Sir Maximin. Guys, I want your thoughts into striker Gianluca Scamacca and left-right wing. I mean, Guri. You're very lucky that I've seen a video about both these guys not too long ago, football style. So, some Scamacca. I mean, both of these players linked with very big moves as well, which is also a bit of the odd thing about this summer is like players linked to Arsenal, Juventus, Tottenham, and Newcastle. We all seem to be in the same sentence for some reason. Scamacca, pretty prolific striker from Italy. Do you kind of fall under this thing about Premier League proven, or do you like seeing players coming in from abroad, Jack?
Nah, Premier League proven's not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's like Steve Bruce is a Premier League proven manager because he hung around the relegation zone for years and years, but he's a Premier League proven manager. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think it matters really. Scamacca is an absolute unit of a man, but he's good with his feet. But he's good with his feet as well. So he'd be an exciting one. But we're going to touch on a striker in a bit. For me, I don't necessarily know we need a first team striker, in my opinion. But
okay, yeah, I mean Guri as well. I mean that's also it has an impressive season at Nice. I mean that's also it's big money as well, and this is why the size of Nick Pope is getting so much praise from people like me and Jack. Is that we've got to be careful, and we've got to be careful with money. We don't have an endless pot like some teams have had in years gone by. We do have to be considerate, and if you're spending 50 mil on Guri, you're not really leaving too much space for anyone else. But seeing we're talking about transfers and we're talking about strikers, we're talking about forwards, let's talk about someone who has been linked with Newcastle before and is being linked to again, and it is a fella called Dominic Calvert Lewin. A signing and a link that has been received with not too much praise, maybe. I mean, for me, I've always rated Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's a very, very good striker. So it's played for England. As you say, with Scamacca, someone who's very tall, he's very strong, he's athletic, very good with his feet. He's got a very good goal record. Last season, a bit injury prone, 5 in 17. But then before that, 16 in 33, 13 in 36 before that. And we already know kind of the problems that Everton have had over the last few years. Would that be someone you'd like to see come through the door, or is a first-team striker, so someone to effectively displace Callum Wilson, is that the priority right now?
No, not for me. Honestly, Callum Wilson, when he's the problem, right? We all know his injury record. It's not the best, and it hasn't been the best since he's come to Newcastle. Unfortunately, he misses big chunks. He's missed big chunks of both seasons, hasn't he? But when the way he ended last season, that performance against Arsenal, he was strong, he was quick, he was great with the ball, he held the ball up well, nearly scored the goal of the season.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like. For me, Callum Wilson is in the prime of his powers right now. You keep him fit all season. That is the thing. So that's why Ekitike will be ideal in my view, because that's someone, Wood, Ekitike, and Wilson. That's some great options up front. So Wilson, I don't know. Football style is not a fan. Well, fair enough. I do love Callum Wilson. I think he deserves one more season at least to stay totally injury free. And this is my big prediction: if he stays injury free, 20 goals this season in the Premier League. There you go. That's Callum Wilson.
The problem is that injury free is is the big one. I mean,
I know.
He played 18 games last year, so he missed 20 Premier League games, and the year before that was 26. Let's see, 12. I mean, the fact he's actually got 12 goals in 26 and then 8 and 18
in a Steve Bruce team.
In that team as well. I think most of those goals came at the start as well. You know, it is if you could keep Callum Wilson fit. But I mean, I'm going to put the case forward for Dominic Calvert Lewin because this is also someone who I know people are talking about his injury record in the comments, and we are seeing that. I mean, that was only last year really that he had injury, and it was kind of that one hit injury really, and they tried rushing him back, and it kind of sort of repurposed itself again. And he's also only 25 years old. Wilson is 30, so. And unlike goalkeepers, 30 is a bit of that's kind of like a bit of an age that you have to start thinking about your striker plans as well. Wood's also in his 30s, I believe. He might have just hit 30. You know, someone who is again Premier League proven, we know can do it. Someone who Newcastle have been linked with, and with what we've seen with Dan Ashworth, you know. The links that are getting out, it's very minimal nowadays, and it's very, you know, we're not really hearing too much tittle tattle, if you like, from the club. So maybe it is someone that we are genuinely interested in. And with Hugo Ekitike, you know, I've seen all the videos, I've seen the predictions that he could be the next Mbappe. PSG want him, Dortmund want him. I was thinking L'Equipe saying Real Madrid want him as well. I mean, is that the person where if Wilson gets injured and has to miss 12, 15 games next season, is that the person to fill that shoes? Or is that a lot to ask from someone who has just turned 20?
Yeah, it would be a lot to ask, but I suppose like the talent's there, and there's a reason all these teams want him, and there's a reason we're prepared to pay 26 million. I know it's not 26 million pounds up front; it's going to be 12 million pounds up front, plus then it goes to add-ons and what have you. So they obviously think he's going to be ready, and I don't think he'd be making that move. He's not going to get first team football. So I do think that would happen. In terms of Calvert Lewin, someone said he's only got 15 goals once, and you know what? That's a fair point. I would point out that I think at 13 goals the season Ancelotti came in, and he only started playing properly when Ancelotti came in. So he essentially got 13 goals in the second half of that season. And he's a penalty box predator. Like, you get the ball in, he's going to win the header. That's what he's great at. I honestly believe if he hadn't got injured last season with his hip, then his toe, Benitez, they wouldn't have sacked Benitez, because he would have scored enough goals to keep them in a good position. He started the season with 3 goals in 3. And you take a player like that out of Everton's team, what they got, but the money they're asking for, 50 to 60 million pounds, is a lot. I do think he'd want to come to Newcastle. Like, I just think he would. But I can't say it happening this summer. Maybe next season. But yeah, I think they'll be looking elsewhere. To be honest, just for that amount of outlay for him, for a player who, as someone rightfully pointed out, has only got 15 goals once. But he is young, so it's one of those. Everton will need to sell one of Richarlison or Calvert Lewin this summer. It looks like it's more likely to be Richarlison, which then I would think they'll keep Calvert Lewin. So I can't see him actually going anywhere, to be honest, either.
Yeah, I think with Calvert Lewin, I think most teams probably take a bite at 30 or 35. Richarlison is, you know, there's more about him. He's got more ability, and you know, he's been looked at by some of the top clubs in England, and that could be, you know, if he went for 60 or 70, I don't think I'd actually be too surprised. But if you went for, you know, as we said, we have to manage resources. We have to look at what we can spend now and what we can spend in the future. And when you look at Wood and you look at Wilson as 2, and then you bring Ekitike in as your striker pool of 3, we'll play 4-3-3, so we only need 3 strikers, and you can use that money to go elsewhere, whether that's on to get Ekitike, then you get Botman, maybe you get Diaby, as Matthew was saying there. Do you think that's a much better use of what Newcastle can currently spend, and then maybe put the striker search off until next summer?
Much better, honestly. Yeah. That would be. I think Botman is clearly the number 1 centre back target. You know, we don't know what's going on with him, but all I'd say for that is that we're competing with AC Milan, who've just won the league. The AC Milan, they're in the Champions League, so of course it's taken
Champions League, 11th place Premier League.
yeah, of course, it's taken him to either he's taken time to consider it, although Luke Edwards was saying it's actually got nothing to do with the player, and it's all down to Lille, which I would believe if Luke's saying that. He's usually bang on with Newcastle. So, yeah, I think that would be a better use if you instead of blowing it all on a big striker like Calvert Lewin or say Ivan Toney, you somehow spread it around and you manage to end up with a proper centre back, not a proper centre back, harsh on the rest of the, but a new maybe like a top level centre back, Diaby, and then Ekitike. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, just seeing Matthew's comment there, ASM, Ekitike, Diaby. It's a long cry from the days of Sissoko, Riviere, and Johan Gouffran, isn't it? But,
oh, well, I mean, there was Hosselu and Gale.
Yeah, that was
Perez on the right.
Yeah. To be honest, there's a part of me that actually likes the fact we've come full circle of having a team full of French players about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
French contingent with a nice little Brazilian bit of flair coming in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so well, Jack, thanks so much for joining me on this one and for chatting.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant as always, and lots to dig in there. And thank you so much to everybody who is. I miss Obertan. Gabriel Obertan.
Obertan, what a hero.
Yeah. Did you see that? I saw it that Steve Bruce is still trying to get Hamza Chowdhury for West Brom.
Yes. He might eventually get him this time.
Eventually, I wonder how old Hamza Chowdhury is going to be. It's going to be such. I wish West Brom if they do get him, that would be a great announcement video. If they did all the headlines about Chowdhury to Newcastle, and then finally, gets what?
And Mike Ashley refuses to pay a £2 million loan fee. And there you go. There it turns up.
Newcastle sign Ekitike, Botman, Diaby. Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will wait and see. Thanks so much to everyone who has been commenting on this video. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
Make sure to tune in next week when we will be back to talk about all things Newcastle. Hopefully, well, I'm pretty much expecting by then Nick Pope will be a week into his Newcastle career. Hopefully, we'll see some breakthroughs come through for the two fellas currently playing in France, but we'll have to wait and see. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you very much, Jack, for watching. And thank you for watching the NUFC360 podcast. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.